Welcome back, guys. Today I want to talk about JavaScript events. Now, when we talk about JavaScript events are basically things that happen to HTML elements. They are things that happen to HTML elements. Now, for example, let me take you to the scenario of the real life world. Now, when we talk about events, now when they said an event, maybe they are performing a ceremony or a birthday party, they are doing some events. So it means that there are some stuff that is happening there. There are some things that are happening there. This is making my point. So basically in JavaScript, JS events, basically these are things that happen to HTML elements. When JavaScript is used in HTML pages, JavaScript can basically react on these events. JavaScript can basically react on these events. So basically the HTML event, because we have HTML events, in HTML events can be something the browser does or something the user does. So for example, now when the user is performing some events like the button doing some stuff, submitting, and then so basically the user is reacting to it. So basically these events are things that happen to the HTML elements. So there are some let me give you some example. Now when an HTML web page, just a web page has finished loading, it's an example of an event. So when, for example, an input field was changed, it's an example of events. When an HTML button was clicked, it's an event. Now look at it. When a web page is finished loading, basically there's an event that is made use of there. And look at it now. So there's an event that's basically made use of there. It's called an onload event. ONLOAD. It's an onload event. Now when, for example, now when the input field was changed, when an input field was changed here and then, basically what is being done, what is being used is called on change. So but when an input field, or when basically a button was clicked, when the user hit a button, basically it's called an onclick event. Basically they make use of the onclick event always, at all time. In their present ways, they make use of the onclick event always, 100% sure. That is what they usually make use of, which is the onclick event. Now we are going to run some code here to understand basically the fundamentals of this onclick this JS event. We are going to use the onclick event. As time goes on, we are going to make use of the unchange event. As time goes on, the unchange, there are a lot of events you can basically make use of. For example, we have some of the examples of HTML events. We have the unchange. The unchange an element, an HTML element has been changed. We have the unclick. The user click an HTML element and it reacts to it. We have the unmask move, unmask over. The user moves the mask over an HTML element. Unmask, the user moves the mask away from the HTML element. On key down, the user pushes a keyboard key. Then unload, the browser has finished loading the page. So basically these are some examples of HTML events, of JavaScript events. So I'm going to comment on this. So I'm going to comment on this. So we are going to write some codes. Now what I want to do is that I'm going to show you two ways. So I want to mix of like I said, the onclick event. So basically let us come to our js.html. So I'm going to write some code here. So in here, okay, let us make use of this ID. So I'm going to write h2 html events, sorry, okay, html events. So passing on this as an HTML event. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to create a button. And inside this button I'm going to pass an onclick. So I'm passing out an onclick. I know see it now. We have onclick. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say document dot get elements id. Now so sorry, so this is the id, which is this. I'm going to pass out this to showcase here. So I'm going to come here. Now I'm going to say id. So I'm going to come here dot inner HTML. So I'm passing this as an inner HTML is that. Let us, for example, I want to print out a date. So I want to say dates. Get my point now. So it's going to print out a date. So I'm going to save this, and basically let us say the date is question mark. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to run this. Now how we're going to do that? So I'm going to view this. Okay, let me copy this. Okay, let us copy parts. Come here, then we'll paste this. So now look at it. I know so now it's showing us the date. So basically this is the onclick. So when I mean onclicking is when user hit a button, the JavaScript has to react to it. So which is this? So the date is the element. I get my point now. So which is this? So we can basically take on the example. But what if example now we don't, maybe the two ways whereby we can basically do this. The other way is that we can basically remove this. We can basically remove this from here. We just have to do just to copy this. We'll call this out. We'll pass out a name. So pass out a name. Let us say func or function. Let us say func. So we give an entity parameter. So we save this. So we'll come here class.js. JS.js. So we'll come here. We say function. We say func. So the name of I don't want to pass out any parameters, which is this, which is func. So we'll come here, then we paste this. Okay, so document or get element by document or get element by any dot inner HTML. Okay, so we're going to remove this from here. So all we're going to say is that okay, so we're going to say okay dot inner HTML. So the time is okay. Let us say hello. No need for hello. Let us just pass out the dates. So it's equals to okay. So we're passing out the dates. So we're going to save this. I'm going to run this immediately. So we'll come here, then I will refresh. So I know it now. So it's showing the same thing, exactly the same thing. So all these are done using the JS events. So there's another way whereby we can also do it. There's other stuff. Let me comment on this. So I will come here. Now what I will do is that what if it's up now? There's something called an inner HTML. I want to use this. Remember, I told you this is a keyword that is referring to an object. Remember, in our last video we talked about JS objects. So if you look at this example that I just did now, the JavaScript code changes the content of the element with the ID, which is the ID. You use the ID to change the content of the HTML element. So what I'm going to show you now in the other example is that the code changes the content of its own element using these dots inner HTML. So what I'm going to do now is that I want to say button. We have created a button on click. So I'm going to say this. Get my point now. So I'm going to pass out this by saying this dot inner HTML. So it's going to change the content of its own elements. I get my point now. So I'm going to say date is equals to basically I'm going to say date. So we say date. So I'm going to save this. I've saved this already. So what I'm going to do now is that the time, okay, the date is, or let us say okay, the date. So I'm going to come here, then I'm going to refresh. Josh, I know it now. So look at it, there's a difference in those two parts. This one is that I use this dot inner HTML. This one changed the content of its own elements, but that other one that we did is that it used the ID, which is ID, to change the content of the element, change the content of this element. But this one change the content of its own element. Two different things. The content of its own element. So this .ini basically change the content of its own element, because we are using the this as a keyword. So as time goes on, we are going to learn basically in the DOM manipulations. We are going to mix of all these events like on mass over, or mass out, or key down, or load, or change. We are going to mix of them, most especially in the add event list. Now we are going to explain all this and I'm going to understand everything about that. Tomorrow we are going to talk about videos on JavaScript string, which is here string. In JavaScript string, basically we have the string method, the string search, and the string templates. For in our next video after that, we're not talking about JS arrays, like JS, which is array sort, array iteration, array cost. Before we move on to data to create them, date, and move on to random JS material, and then before hopefully by as time goes on, we are going to enter JS objects such as prototype, constructors, and here and then we'll move on to functions. So a function called apply, bind, and here and then they move on to JS classes, which is object oriented programming. Then we'll move on to JS callback function, asynchronous, promises, and asynchronous wait. So basically move on finally to JS HTML done. So see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you.